Hey everyone. So, how are you? Something happens, and when things happen, sometimes they're just so good that I want to share with all of you because I like to share my journey. I like to be able to share the ups and downs because I know that sometimes I come off as being very positive and very happy. And, I want to think of myself as a positive, happy person. I really don't want to be a victim to my situation or my circumstances. But the reality is, life is challenging. There is a lot going on in all aspects, whether it be death of the people that we love, regular challenges in life, the world. Everything is a challenge these days, and I think it's more important than ever to think about how we look at things and how we view our challenges. And sometimes there are things that happen that are just so special. And that happened for me today. And I just want to take a moment and share what happened for me. That's really, really impactful. And this is the side of grief inspired that I don't necessarily share with all of you. You know, I stopped working a few months ago and have decided to go all in on working to build a business here with grief inspired to that is self-sustainable. I've always done it part-time. The income that I generated was less important than really just my impact on other people. And while that is still true, right, I really need to be thinking about things differently because I do want to help more people on a larger scale. And the way for me to do that is to be financially self-sustaining myself. And so I'm telling you that because there are challenges that I go through daily in just trying to figure out all of the things that are involved in running a business. And it's not easy. And, I've shared before how sometimes one of the biggest challenges is honestly when I know that I can help someone and they choose not to help themselves, or they let things like saying, the cost is too much. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. It won't work for me. Whatever the things are that are the thoughts that go off in our head. I posted a video today that said, our thoughts are unreliable. We shouldn't really always listen to them. There's a good lesson in that. But what I want to talk about today is some good news, something that has happened. And my business name has always been Grief Inspired. It's taken me years to develop exactly what that means in a way that I can communicate it so that all of you will understand. Because at first glance, people think, how possibly can grief inspire me? And there is no joke. You have to grieve. The only cure for grief is to grieve. You have to go through it. But what I have learned is that grief will inspire you. If you are in pain and you want to be out of pain, grief will inspire you, even at the most basic level. It will inspire you to watch a video like this. It will inspire you to go to YouTube and find a solution. It will inspire you to read more, ask questions, meet other people, maybe do things that are scary, like go to a grief support group or ask for help or send me an email. Like I say in every one of my videos, is to send me an email at griefinspired@gmail.com. It may be inspired to order my grief journal on Amazon because I tell you, and I've heard from so many people how much it can help. It's literally a $20, less than $20 investment US. There are lots of things, but for sometimes it can be a challenge for me when I'm working hard, when I want things, especially when I know now that I can see certain people. And if I'm asking you to be in my grief course, it's because I know I can help you. It's because I am being choosy and I am being selective. And I don't want just anybody coming into this course because we create a sacred space that is safe, that is non judgmental, that allows people to be together in a way where they can actually grieve, and they can grieve in a way that's unique and different from anywhere else, where they can be more open. And when you can be more open, when you can share what's really good with your grief and how it shows up, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, and you can actually say the things that are on your mind, the things that you're thinking, well, that can make a difference. And somebody did something today that really inspired me to keep going, to keep remembering why I do what I do. And I want to share it with all of you because it's a poem. And I am just going to be launching very soon my new website that's griefinspiredme.com. And this poem that she wrote, based on her experience and her experience with grief and loss and working with me, and all of the hard work that she's put in to overcome all of the challenges of loss, inspired her to write a poem. And she has always been a writer, and has used writing and journaling as a way to help her because it comes naturally to her. Journaling doesn't come naturally to everyone. It usually will help everyone, but there's different things that come naturally to different people. And so this is a poem that she wrote, and it's from our friend Jane Weathers. And it says, and I'm going to read it here because I have it on my computer. And she says, it's a poem of how grief inspired me. I'm going to do my best to read this to the best of my ability. When I met death face to face, my own mortality I was forced to taste. Through the valley of the shadow of death I did crawl and faced my demons, both great and small. The deepest, darkest places is where I grew by leaning in and fighting through. Remember, hardest moments are only temporary, and grief must come out no matter how scary. Yes, weeping may endure for a time, but I don't think it was part of God's grand design. So I didn't give up, I didn't despair, and thanks be to God for meeting me there. I know I have many choices to make. I can choose life or death. So much is at stake. So my choice is to live open, purposeful, and set free. And that's how grief has inspired me. Now, I don't know if you have goosebumps. I have goosebumps all over the place. And I think that what she shares is so very powerful because we do need to meet death face to face. And it's not with anyone else. I can't always do everything. Like, we have to be in our deepest, darkest moments, sometimes by ourselves. And I can be there to try to pull you out. But yeah, sometimes we have to crawl, like she said, and face our demons. And that the process of grief is about leaning in, and it's about fighting for yourself, for your life, and for the people that you love. Because let's be real, you affect the people around you. And if you stay stuck and you stay miserable, well, you're going to dump that all on everybody else. And she talks about weeping. Grief is about weeping. There are so many tears in grief. Make no mistake, grieving is hard. But she didn't give up and she didn't despair. And I love that she says, and thanks be to God for meeting me there. God is such a strong force in her particular life. And sometimes it can be hard to believe that God is with us in our pain, in our suffering, because sometimes it feels like it's happening to us because we did something wrong or because we're not worthy of being happy. It's just not true. She says, I can choose life or death. So much is at stake. And this really is when you grieve someone close to you. Deep, deep grief will force you to decide, are you going to choose life or are you going to choose death? Some people choose death by never really dealing with their grief, by walking in it and staying stuck. And sometimes people choose life by saying, I don't know how I'm going to get through this, but I'm going to figure it out. It's what I decided to do 14 years ago, and it's the reason why I do everything that I do here. God didn't do this to me. God did this for me. And that's what I choose to believe. That's my belief. So she's choosing to live open and purposeful and free. Free from the suffering. We can move forward in grief. We can be inspired by our grief if you let it. It's not for the faint of heart. It is a journey. It is a process. And it's something that we have to actively choose. And if you choose to move forward in grief, if you choose to let your grief inspire you, one day you will look back on your life. You will pat yourself on the back and you will say, I did this. I did this for me. I overcame one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do. I did this. I am worthy. And my grief inspired me. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for contributing to my channel, for commenting, for posting, for being with me in your loss. I'm so freaking proud of you, Jane. And you make me want to keep going. So for that, I want to say thank you. Have a great day, everybody.